Do we really want to do this, though?
What do you want to do?
I
kind of do.
I'm a little uncomfortable talking about Christmas.
What do you think?
I didn't want to talk about this last year, but actually, the worst thing that ever happened to me was on Christmas.
I can't tell if you're doing a bit right now.
It was horrible. Okay, so it was Christmas Eve. I was 9 years old.
Sounds like it happened on Christmas Eve, not Christmas.
No, Christmas. Christmas Eve is Christmas. Can I tell the story?
The hot takes begin.
I was 9 years old. Me and Mom were decorating the tree, waiting for Dad to come home from work. Couple hours went by. Dad wasn't home yet. So Mom called his office. No answer. So we woke up. Christmas Day came and went. Still nothing. So the police began to search. 4 or 5 days went by. Neither one of us could eat or sleep. Everything was falling apart. It was snowing outside. The house was completely freezing. So I went to try and light a fire. That's when I noticed the smell. The firemen came and they broke through the chimney top. Me and Mom were expecting them to pull out a dead cat or a bird or something, and instead they pulled out my father. He was dressed up in a Santa Claus suit. He'd been climbing down the chimney on Christmas Eve, his arms loaded with presents. He was going to surprise us. He slipped and broke his neck. He died instantly. That's how I found out there was no Santa Claus.
And welcome, everybody, to the holiday episode of Brainstorm Brewery.
That would take you out of a movie, right? Can we talk about that? Can we talk about, it's a movie, right? About these literal monsters, right? That have been kept secret from us because, like, we can't handle it. These literal monsters with sharp claws that bite your face and, like, attack people. And, like, the worst, most scary, terrifying part of that movie, seeing it as a kid, was, like, Phoebe Case is like, oh, by the way, I don't like Christmas because my dad is a fucking idiot. Like, who has a chimney that big in their house, first of all? But, like, why would you come down the chimney dressed as Santa with presents if there was nobody in the house to see you come out? What was his plan?
He was cleaning it out, getting it ready, and he slipped and broke his neck.
No, but he was recording himself. He was doing it for the Vine.
I know, right? But, like, why? So you come down the chimney and there's nobody there. Were they?
Yeah.
So they were in the house. They were in the house decorating the tree, and he, like, came home from work, climbed up on the tree dressed as Santa. He was gonna come. Oh,
yeah!
I'm the real Santa. Why aren't you supposed to come when I'm asleep? Are you gonna do this every year? Like, I don't know, man. Santa, you're all dirty. I don't know. It was not a good plan. The fact that it was possible to break your neck, not the worst part of that plan. I think the worst plan was including that whole soliloquy in the movie, because it took a lot of time to read through that, and that was all like, okay, but, like, gremlins are attacking, we're in mortal danger right now, and you want to tell me this story? Took me out of the movie. Takes me out of the movie every time. Gremlins 2, somehow a worse movie. And there's another Christmas soliloquy in Gremlins 2.
Do you have that one queued up ready to go? Well, last year we put out a Christmas episode talking all about Christmas movies and our takes on them and our top 5 Christmas movies. And it was a lot of fun. People seemed to enjoy it. So rather than bore you on Christmas with a bunch of boring takes about magic finance, today we are coming with Christmas season hot takes. If you're celebrating any of the holidays anywhere, thank you so much for listening to the show. As always, here on Brainstorm Brewery. So this is going to be a little different. No magic today, but we're going to have a lot of fun with this. We have some queued up, and let's start with the classic one that at this point has basically almost become a meme. Die Hard is a Christmas movie. I know we addressed this last year, but go ahead.
It's not a hot take, though. It takes place on Christmas.
I mean, it's so weird that basically it's like level 0 humor, and it was shared so earnestly for so long that it eventually became mocked. It's really gone through a transition over the years.
It's just because like it was funny when you first heard it,
right?
You know, it's kind of like, oh yeah, it is a Christmas
in 2006 movie, or whatever.
it's the Seinfeld isn't funny trope. If you go to tvtropes.com and look at the Seinfeld isn't funny trope,
prepare to lose yourself for a while, but yeah.
The Seinfeld isn't funny trope with like when they do something and everyone else imitates it, you know? It's like, oh, okay, we're sick of this now. And then you go back and you're like, oh, okay, we're sick of hearing about it. But like the first time someone said Die Hard is a Christmas movie, it got people thinking about other Christmas movies. And is Lethal Weapon, is Gremlins a Christmas movie? Is Batman Returns a Christmas movie?
Yeah, I mean, it's just another like hot dog sandwich, like
of course,
fire starter, right?
Sure. And like
water cooler conversation, I believe.
But like it's also not that controversial because I think most people are on board. But here's the thing. Die Hard is a Christmas movie gave me an excuse to watch it every year with my mother, and Die Hard is nearly a perfect movie.
Sure.
It's very good. I noticed that a lot of my favorite movies are based on books and are better than the book they were based on. And Die Hard is no exception. It was based on a terrible book called like Nothing Lasts Forever or something like that by an author named Roderick Thorpe, who had John McClane as just like a detective in like his late 50s, you know? And another one of his books called, I think, The Detective, was adapted into a movie starring Frank Sinatra, and they actually were contractually obligated to offer the part to Frank Sinatra. And they're like, it's not going to work with Bruce Willis. Like, all this stuff is probably in that Movies That Made Us episode of Netflix.
Yeah.
You should probably just watch that. But I think all I just got down a Wikipedia rabbit hole when I was in college because like I was like, oh shit, Die Hard's based on a book. I'd seen that movie 20 times, and then it was based on a book by Roderick Thorpe. I was like, I gotta get this book, and I read it, and I was like, oh no, I wish I hadn't read this book.
Well, how do you feel when you said you talked about in this? I'm sorry, we're gonna slightly veer from Christmas here, but you talked about movies that are better than the books. How do you feel about Jurassic Park, the original?
Even if I didn't like Jurassic Park now or didn't think it held up or whatever, it's like the epitome of the blockbuster, right? Like if you're going to do a movie of that scale, that's what you should aim for. Like really good practical effects. You got a good cast, you know.
We watched the entire thing, just like start to finish a couple days ago because Ben wanted to watch it for whatever reason. I honestly don't know how it came up, but he wanted to watch Jurassic Park, and we're like, sure, whatever, you can watch Jurassic Park, I guess. And he got through the scary parts, all right, and whatever. But I kept count as we were going through the movie. No less than 6 memes originate from the original Jurassic Park. And you kind of take it for granted. Mm-hmm. You see a Jurassic Park meme, and you're like, oh, it makes sense. Whether it's, life finds a way. Yeah. Or the sexy Malcolm. Sexy Jeff Goldblum lying down. Or
the hey, this guy, see no one cares meme.
Yep, that's right.
The, you didn't say the magic word.
Correct. Meme? Yep. There's more. I mean, I hold on to your butts.
Hold on to your butts. That's good. Clever girl.
Clever girl. Yep. Exactly.
Great Christmas movie, that Jurassic Park.
Anyway, wouldn't a Christmas at Jurassic Park movie be awesome? Would it not be so much better than whatever the hell they're making now?
I want a Jurassic Park-esque Star Wars holiday special with the Jurassic Park.
Jurassic Park Star Wars-esque? What does that mean?
A Jurassic Park
I understood.
in the style of Star Wars holiday special.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah. Happy Life Day, but no one's alive because happy we played God and made Artificial Life Day. My favorite part of that movie is the very beginning when you don't really know what's going on, and then they like find the amber with the mosquito and they show it to him and he's like, yes. And I was like, what? I thought this movie was about dinosaurs, and here's this guy, yes, bugs. Excellent. That's the best looking bug I've ever seen.
Well, I look, I don't want to make this the Jurassic Park hour because I mean we could. I
We
love
could.
it.
Let's get on
we
a
talk about it
Jurassic
lot.
Park riff. Screw
Well, what do you think
Christmas.
about what do you think about the book?
I have never read the book.
Book was good. The thing about a lot of Crichton
Mm-hmm.
is that he was like just a giant nerd, and
Oh,
some
yeah.
of the stuff.
You either like that part, or you either like those part of his books, or you don't.
It's like, look how accurate this is. Like he really harped on stuff in the books that was important to him as a scientist or like science lover that just no one gives a shit about. So you can cut out whole chapters.
Timeline. The
chapter
movie,
in
the book
Andromeda
timeline
Strain.
is yeah.
There's a whole chapter in Andromeda Strain where they talk about how this guy, they picked the one guy because he's single. Because they're like, people with families will be like, I got to get home to my family. But a single guy will throw his life away. Which is, whatever. But like, he just spent all that ink on that in the movie. Like, nah, you'll do it because you're single. And the guy's like, all right, I'll get this Ven, I guess. Like, and I don't even know if
I tend to actually
remember
like
Andromeda Strain was a movie because that was like the 70s, I think.
Well, they all got made into movies. Like every Michael Crichton book eventually got made into a movie because they were so good for that. And some of them were good, and some of them were not.
Well, they're great premises. They're not necessarily
you're
great
right.
movies. They're
Or
great
books.
premises. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
And so
Westworld was good, but they made another one that was kind of like Westworld about like robot cops sort of a deal. And man, I don't even remember anything about that movie. It was like Tom Selleck was in it.
I have
Maybe?
no idea.
Oh,
what you're
jeez, I gotta
referring
look
to.
this up.
Well, and the thing about Jurassic Park is they actually the plot is so straightforward. And it is in the movie too, but it kind of makes more sense in a movie than it does a book.
It's called Runaway, and it was Tom Selleck.
There you go. Yeah, but in the book it's very simple. An accident happens at the park. They bring the scientists out to the park. They get attacked. They leave.
You guys want to hear about this movie? Why
are all different. It's crazy. Yeah, go ahead.
It's a
Jason.
reverse RoboCop.
Okay.
It's about a robot cop because he's not a cop that's a robot. He is a cop for robots. So
Wait, what?
Okay. So in the future, robots are so ubiquitous that like all of your appliances are like just they're robots.
Sure.
But sometimes a robot will malfunction and become dangerous, and they are known as runaways. So a runaway is a malfunctioning robot that, since they're super dangerous, some of them, because like they're semi-sentient but also like indestructible killing machines, there's a special unit in the police that hunts down runaway robots. So Tom Selleck plays a cop who joins the runaway squad because he's afraid of heights. And his fear of heights allows a criminal to get away.
Okay.
And then these people get killed because he Uncle Ben's basically. But instead of like being indifferent, he's afraid of heights, and a guy just kills his uncle or whatever. So he gets assigned to the runaway squad. He's like, "What am I going to shut down toasters?" And then he has to go do robot cop stuff, and then eventually he overcomes his fear of heights. I think it's been a while since I saw this movie, but Gene Simmons is in it and Kirstie Alley. Like, the movie's garbage, but like you should definitely watch it.
And it takes place on December 25th.
Yeah, it's a Christmas movie. Runaways is Tom
it.
Selleck and Kirstie Alley's Runaways is a Christmas movie. So definitely, it's my favorite Christmas movie about. It's a reverse RoboCop. What could be better than the opposite of RoboCop? RoboCop would be better. It's legitimately a very good movie. RoboCop is a Jesus allegory. Does that count as a Christmas movie? Because RoboCop walks on water. It's a Christ allegory. Put the Christ back in Christmas? Put the RoboCop back in RoboCopsmas? Anybody? RoboCop is a Christmas movie. You heard it here first.
Is that what this episode is going to devolve into? Just
Indeed.
What is the furthest thing
loose.
what is the furthest thing from a Christmas movie that we can
RoboCop
dilate down
is a
to
Christmas movie.
RoboCop is a chaotic neutral Christmas movie. A chaotic evil Christmas movie is I don't know.
Well, it is Christmas in the States, but you know what my favorite holiday tradition is that did not really occur this year for me anyway is Black Friday.
Why? Why is that one of your?
It's a celebration of
Corbin,
consumerism.
that movie's just called Friday.
Thanks, Jason. I happen to love Black Friday. It was a highlight for me to go shopping on Black Friday.
You're the worst.
I'd wake up early in the morning.
You're part of the problem.
That's a real basic bitch activity, dude.
What's the problem? I liked it when Black Friday was on Friday.
Trampled to death.
Well, I fortunately was never involved in a trample incident, so we're okay here in Oklahoma. But I liked it when you got up at like
it's called a stampede in Oklahoma.
It's called a hootenanny. We would like to get up at 3-4 a.m. and go, and then you come back and take a nap, and it was kind of a fun activity, right? Kind of kicked off Christmas because it was something you do with your family after you were together on Thanksgiving. Okay, I just enjoyed it, and this year it didn't happen. It doesn't exist anymore. But I suppose it's been ruined for a while since they moved it on to eventually became Thursday afternoon. At which point I was obviously off of it. That was not how I liked it at all. But I do miss some of those 3-4 a.m. trips to stand for the doorbuster deals.
I think the only holiday worse than Black Friday is Cyber Monday. Which it's the term I used to refer to a Monday after Thanksgiving 4 years ago when I accidentally sent a pic of my dick to my mom and said, "You up?" ASL. Cyber Monday, baby.
Wow. Yep. Thanks for that. But that's me. I mean, that's my favorite. That's a favorite thing I missed out. What are you all missing out from Christmas this year because of the plague?
Nothing.
I was gonna say I would normally just like get to work on one of these weekends, which would be nice, at a Magic Fest somewhere, and not have to pay.
Are you all Christmas haters? Is that what I'm hearing here?
No.
All my lab jobs, you had to work a couple of holidays, so I would volunteer to work Christmas because, like, we didn't do anything until later anyway, so I just got to get double time. All the other holidays were time and a half, but Christmas was double time.
Well, I mean, that certainly makes sense.
But we started alternating between having Christmas here in Michigan or driving all the way to Maryland for Christmas, so we do either Thanksgiving or Christmas in Maryland, so we're driving all the way there.
Oh yeah, like we do the same thing, but we only
year.
have a 2-hour drive. We don't have to drive 10 hours.
2-hour drive's nothing.
No, I agree.
I eat 2-hour drives for breakfast. So
hey, I've driven 10 hours for a GP before, so I've been there.
But we, because of COVID, we're not going to drive 10 hours for Thanksgiving. So
yeah, I did just kind of have a realization at some point in the last couple of days. I was like, oh, it's like Christmas next week. And just the days all blend together, right? It's
but like my daughter being super jazzed for Christmas because she knows it's coming has like, okay, so why don't we talk about something I did this year that I normally don't, which is like, I didn't act like a Scrooge. Like downtown, they put up these stupid candy canes and then
I know
they like
the ones
bolt them down in the park and like everyone's like, the candy canes. It's just like a thing.
The ones on the light poles, right?
No, they are the light. They're like 10-foot tall candy canes, right?
Okay.
And there was a controversy because the city's like, these candy canes suck and we're getting new candy canes. And then people flip their, so like, it's a big town. There are 3 colleges, but also like little trivial bullshit thing. Stupid candy canes in Central Park are like a huge deal. So they have new candy canes. I was like, I'm gonna take my daughter to look at these stupid candy canes. So there were lights all over the park and all this stuff. And I was like, I can't believe we're gonna do this. This is so dumb. It's a pandemic and we're gonna go mill around on all these people. And as soon as I got out there, I was like, oh, okay. I'm glad we did this. I needed this. It made me feel a little bit more normal. So just like,
this is a Christmas carol.
And then Jason's heart grew 3 sizes.
It did, because I was just like, let's just stay home. This is dumb. But like, just milling around and looking at these dumb candy canes and these lights and all this crap and just like buying overpriced chocolate from someone who like bought really expensive real estate, just the most expensive real estate for a chocolate store. I'm like, how are you open? You're like, oh, it's $11 for a chocolate covered Oreo. I figured it out. So just engaging in commerce.
Well, that's great. That's great.
It just made me, I was like, oh, this doesn't have to be the worst Christmas of my daughter's whole life, because she doesn't really understand how different stuff is, because this is like the first Christmas she'll remember.
Same. Yeah.
So like, I don't think she has a frame of reference to realize how much this year sucked. Yeah. Because she got to go to school and visit her grandparents and play a lot of Nintendo. So like, if next year's better, she'd be like, oh, last year sucked. I get it. But like, she doesn't know this year sucks. And I think it was important to make sure she had a good Christmas. So my parents got divorced when I was 30. So we get 3 Christmases, and that's a thing. She gets to have 3 Christmas. My parents got divorced, and she benefits. That's bull. Because when my friends' parents got divorced, they had the common decency to do it when my friends were 13, and then they fought over them. It's like, oh, hey, Mom, Dad bought me a Nintendo 64, and she's like, oh, well, I love you more, and I bought you a PlayStation. So my friends got to benefit from that. When your parents get divorced when you're 30, you're like, is it my fault? And they're like, shut up, go to work. Like, no one gives... I get calling to work. It's like, well, my parents divorced. They're like, get in here. No one gives a shit. You know, I didn't get a PlayStation. I got my parents awkwardly slow dancing at my wedding. That's what I got. I got my dad helping me fill up my wedding registry. Like, oh, you're going to get 6 wine glasses? Why not get 8 so you both can have a full set when she fucking meets some dude on OkCupid. It's like, God, thank you for the bleak advice, Dad. Jesus. All right, cool. Merry Christmas. So my daughter gets 3 Christmases because of a divorce that was personally painful for me. So that's the sacrifice I made. I fell on that sword. So
you're a family man.
Yeah, that's right. Sometimes you gotta have divorced parents.
Well, here, Jason, here's something that might help you get into the holiday spirit. What about your Christmas music? You know, what is your taste in Christmas music? Are you a classics type?
Nope. There's only one question.
Are you a George Strait Christmas type?
No. You answer one question and you know everything you need to know about that person's Christmas taste.
What's that question?
It's a yes or no question.
Okay.
Is or is not Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas Is You the best Christmas song ever? And if a person says no, you know a lot about the kind of music they like. And if they say yes, you know a lot about the kind of music they like. If they say yes, you know that their second favorite Christmas song is probably Wham's Last Christmas. And their third favorite song is probably Wham's Last Christmas as covered by Jimmy Eat World. You know that they don't care about tradition, you know? And okay. If they say they do not like Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas Is You, they will probably have too much eggnog and go on a rant about how the libtards are ruining Christmas by taking all the rapey parts out of It's Cold Outside. So you can just tell a lot about a person. I personally, I like Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas Is You, and my wife hates it so much she can hear 3 notes. She can hear 3 little chimes at the beginning. She doon doon doon, and she's like, nope, and she grabs the remote out of nowhere. This year she was too far from the remote. She used the app on her phone to change the song. So that's how vociferously she hates that song. So I am a pro All I Want for Christmas Is You person. My wife is anti, and I don't know if that's the kind of irreconcilable difference.
I was going to say, I think you might need to hold on until Lily's 30 so that you can...
I think opposites attract. You need 2 people who complement each other. I think 2 people who think Wham's Last Christmas is the greatest song ever will get sick of each other after a while. That's what I
see.
Okay.
I'm just saying George Strait's Christmas Cookies is an incredible...
Nobody knows what that song is, dude.
Somebody
No,
listening
no,
does.
Corbin, shut up. Nobody knows what that song
Somebody
is.
listening does.
I will
Yeah,
say that I think
If you've
that
never chased your cousin around with mistletoe, you don't know what that song is.
Go to youtube.com/brainstorm brewery and let us know that you know about George Strait's Christmas cookies.
I will say that I think that the hatred that retail store like Christmas carols get is like drastically overblown and overrated.
What does that mean exactly? What do you mean the hate that what are you talking
Like,
about?
you know, like people are just like, oh, the people just hear them all day because those people work those jobs and they have to like listen to whatever Christmas carol. Like I think that
the same 8 songs on repeat.
Yeah,
I don't think you hate that that you're hearing those songs.
Yes,
I think you hate that your job that pays you $7.25 an
yes,
hour.
exactly,
makes you work on Christmas.
exactly.
I'm gonna go listen to.
They're complaining about
country
like
Christmas
the
music
symptom and
after
not the virus.
Yep.
Like there's all the Facebook memes of like, oh, if I hear jingle bells when I'm working my 11 to 4 a.m. Kmart shift one more time, I'm gonna scream. It's like maybe jingle bells isn't the problem.
Maybe Jingle Bells is the last straw.
Jingler Bells is the stapler.
It's the stapler.
It's the stapler. It's the last straw.
Stapler.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And I don't think that's a hot take. I think that's
I don't
just
think so. I don't think that's What about the idea that the problem with Christmas music is that no one makes new Christmas music? You know, harkening back to your Mariah Carey
people do
example.
make new Christmas music.
That's one of the listen. That's one of the only like songs you can think of from modern-ish music era that is sort of a classic. Everything else is from like 1952 or whatever, right? We just won the war and we're celebrating, you know, I can't even come up with 50s lingo, sorry, but that seems to be that seems to be all you hear, right? Where's the new Christmas
because when
music?
people do try to make new Christmas song, you end up with the song Christmas Rapping by the Waitresses, which is
I don't know what that means.
which is Paul McCartney's Simply Having a Wonderful Christmas Time notwithstanding, is the worst Christmas song of all time. If you don't know this song, Google Christmas Rapping by the Waitresses. It's abominable. Like
I guess JJ will put a link in the description.
I get it. You hate Simply Having a Wonderful Christmas Time by Paul McCartney. We all do. It's terrible. And the guy wrote Yesterday. So like it's a bigger crime. The Waitresses' best song was I Know What Boys Want. That's not that great a song. No one's gonna go to the mat for I Know What Boys Want. I know what boys like. No one's going to the mat for that song. But Paul McCartney wrote Yesterday. The guy knows how to write a song. He knows his way around a tune. So the fact that he wrote Simply Having a Wonderful Christmas Time, which is just the laziest song ever written. And I know he hates it, and he has to hear it every year, as he should, because he inflicted it on all of us. But that song notwithstanding, I think Christmas Rapping is the worst song, and they didn't have to make it. They're like, what people need is a new Christmas song. So you know what? Stick to what works, I think.
George Strait's Christmas cookies.
Do an album of covers. Even if you shouldn't do an album of covers. Even if you're Gwen Stefani. I realized I hate Gwen Stefani's voice.
And you're bringing it back around to country music. She is engaged to Blake Shelton.
Oh. I'd mess with like an album of Christmas songs that are remixed by like today's artists. Like I'd fuck Billie Eilish Christmas album.
Those are two things that, you know, Billie Eilish music and Chris. Those are two things that I just would not really place together typically. Can you imagine like a Billie Eilish Christmas?
What if it's like chocolate and peanut butter? You don't know.
It'd be great.
I didn't expect to hate Gwen Stefani Christmas covers, but like I realized I hate her voice. Because if she's like, "Oh, I'm just a girl," you're like, "That's cute," but she's like, "Jingle bells," you're like, "You are insufferable." I don't know what a hollerback girl is, but I know I want to run you over with a snowplow. I was like, I loved No Doubt, and like I was aware that your solo stuff was popular, but my goodness, your voice and Christmas do not go together. I think she's fine for what else she's doing, but when I have an expectation of how a song should sound, her voice is not what I want to hear.
Well, okay. Well, that's one reason why she doesn't have any classic Christmas bangers, I guess.
Well, I don't know how old that album is. It just came up on our Christmas playlist, and I was like, oh no, Gwen Stefani did a whole album?
How do you feel about the Pentatonix Christmas? I feel like that's the at least to Boomer me the most recent. It's pretty white, right?
I don't know this. I don't know what this is.
Okay, so do you remember?
Imagine if the
maybe
movie Pitch Perfect was a band.
Yeah, like 5 to 10 years ago. Remember when the whole acapella thing, sort of Glee was a thing, right? And
yeah,
it's
sure,
perfect.
Sure.
Well, this is the pop acapella group that does a bunch of covers. I think is their thing. And they are very, very good at acapellaing and are very popular. And they did Christmas, and it was the thing that I heard nonstop for a couple years. So that, to me, that was the most recent thing that maybe penetrated the I can see hearing this 15 years from now sort of a bubble. But
I'm
Jason
glad you brought
is
this up
right,
because I sound like such a curmudgeon when I talk about how I hate Glee, acapella, all that crap. I don't like when people
you are
sing.
a curmudgeon.
I don't like how people who's like, oh, I sing tenor. No, you don't. You sing a bunch of doo-bops and crap like that in the back. You gotta
Jason.
sound like a baritone sax or a drum now. Like, you don't get to sing. The attractive alto gets all the solos, and you just sit in the back going doo-wop, boo-wop like an idiot. Like, I don't like that we make people, like, if you're making a sound like an instrument, clearly you think the song needs instruments. You just play the goddamn instruments. If you're making instrument noises, it shouldn't be a cappella. I hate it. I sound like such a Scrooge, and I don't care.
If we gain one thing from this episode, it will not be
Jason
followers, it will not be listeners, it will be a glimpse into Jason's psyche.
The stuff I don't
This
like
is
is
a very important
as the stuff I
episode.
do like, and I don't care.
This is a very important episode for science.
I hate acapella.
Do you guys have any
All right,
bad
well,
beats?
while
do you
we're
have
on-
any bad beats Christmas stories before I give mine?
Like you just got wrecked at Christmas?
I mean, it's just like a short, sad
lump of
thing
coal
that happened
type
on
stuff?
Christmas. Like it's not any.
I only
anything
have
like,
sad family
it's not
stories.
anything as mentally scarring as Jason's current reveals of his music preferences. It's not anything that damaged my psyche like that. But I don't know. Like
I don't know.
I think bad beats Christmas stories would be if you had like. It's not exactly a lengthy tale, but I mean,
I'll give you.
You're spending a lot of time ramping up to it, so that's good.
No,
yeah, I'll give you a story of a lesson I learned when I was very little. Just as a reminder to everyone out there, for those of you who have kids or might have kids, that your kids are always watching. I have a very early memory when I was a kid. We went and saw my dad's aunt and uncle or something, people that we had not seen, we'd see them once a year maybe, and I was a little kid, I was terrified of them. Well, they got me a little cheap watch that had like goosebumps on it, because that was the thing my parents told them I liked, right?
Yep.
And then the thing in the watch was like broken immediately, and it like slid off the face of it, and I looked down at it and I said, oh, cheap watch. And then my parents got very upset with me, and I was too young to know what it meant. Which only means that I had watched one of my parents do that with something and then repeated that action. And, as far as if you're a little kid, right, you repeat things your parents say and you don't necessarily understand the context of it.
Yeah.
And in that case, I guess it was a bad beat because I repeated something that wasn't funny or cute. I repeated something that got me in trouble. But a lesson learned.
Yeah, I mean that counts. I like that.
I said, baby, hey, you put me on the spot. I had to get something so we can ramp up to your story here.
That's what I was going for.
I have a Bad Beats Christmas story also while we're at it.
Okay.
So I learned about Occam's razor around Christmas, right? So
when you were how old?
I was 10. My brother was 7. Right.
Okay.
So my parents were clearly Santa Claus, right? I'm 10, my brother's 7. We know this, right? We figured it out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So I was like, if they bought the presents already, they're in
Spoiler
the house.
warning, you know kids listen to this podcast.
Oh, yeah, he's 11. He got to know by now. My parents bought the presents. They must be in the house. There's no way my dad just brings home a trunk load of presents from work on the 23rd, right? He's not keeping that in his office. They're in. And we can find them. When my parents go to work, we have all day, right, to look through the house. I guess I must have been 11 or 12 if they were leaving us home. So it was like, much. Yeah, I must have been
covering
11
for
if they
your
were leaving
parents
us home.
now.
But anyway.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, if you're
So
old
we
enough
had-
to have that I've always said this. If you're old enough to have a Pokemon, you're old enough to be left home with a stove.
Well, that's 8, right?
No, 10 is the
okay.
kicked out of
10
the
is when
street
you're
with a
allowed to get a
Pikachu.
Pokemon, yeah.
Well, my dad was gone because they never said why. My mom was off getting finger blasted by Mr. Mime, probably. So, because he can't tell. He's the Pokemon. He
We
can't tell
know.
what
Go on.
Anyway. So I was like, the presents are in the house. So we got the bright idea that we knew in my parents' closet in their bedroom, there was attic access. And it wasn't an attic in the traditional sense where there's like a room up there.
Uh-huh.
It was just
Just the boards.
insulation.
Yeah.
Push this board out of the way and you slide it, and then there's stuff up there. So we're like, how easy it would be for them to stuff presents up there and then just bring them down, when we're all asleep, but with visions of sugar plums in our heads. So I was like, I can't reach. What we're gonna have to do is go to the ladder, go to the garage and get the ladder. So we did. We got the ladder, looked up there, nothing. As I was coming down from the ladder, we broke the light bulb in their closet. Now, it was one of those things that had like a globe frosted fixture on the outside, and then there's the light bulb. We smashed both of those things.
Great work.
I was like, okay, I'm smart enough to know that I need to go to the junction box in the basement and turn it off so I can get the light bulb out, the broken light bulb out. So I have to turn off all the power in the house. But I didn't know which one it was, so I had to go to the circuit box and basically just shut everything down.
Yeah.
So I did it. I safely got the light bulb out, put in a new light bulb. We cleaned up all the glass, but there was no fixture. So we're like, I don't think they'll notice. So my parents get home. All the microwaves are flashing like 103 because like we knocked all the power out in the house an hour ago, and I didn't go around to every clock, and so they knew that they're like, did the power go out? Then they go upstairs and they like go in the closet, see tiny pieces of glass on the carpet and see that there's no fixture, and they knew exactly what they're like. We don't have Christmas presents up there. And when I was older, I found out they just used the empty boxes that had the Christmas decorations in them. They took out the Christmas decorations, put the presents in those boxes, and put them in the basement. And I was like, that was so much simpler for them. They were already in the basement. They could just go over to the tree with them.
And that is when you learned about Occam's razor.
Yeah.
I understand now.
And I just thought, I was like, oh, the best hiding spot is the hardest one to get to. You need a ladder. And you need to navigate a labyrinth of breakable fixtures. And it turned out they just put it in an empty box that I was used to seeing in the basement. And
this is a reminder to you kids that your parents are smarter than you think.
They're smarter than you at 11, certainly. Although I did know not to electrocute myself.
There you go.
That was not bad. All right, DJ, let's hear it.
So we had a tradition for several years of like going up to my grandma's house and having Christmas Eve there. We'd have the whole family up at grandma's house, the pizza night, the special gifts from uncles and aunts and cousins and whatever. And I was probably around 5 or 6. And it wasn't a long drive. It was like maybe an hour or so. But I live in upstate New York, and the weather was not great. And I was feeling less than optimal. And so towards the start of the evening, we start to make the trek over, and the weather gets worse, and so does my my disposition, my nausea, and I just start like just throwing up everywhere in the back of the vehicle.
It's pretty gross.
Yep. So it's me, my mom, my dad, my brother, just the four of us trying to crawl our way through a blizzard at this point on Interstate 81, and like my mom surrenders pretty quickly. She's like, this is not happening. Like there's a very sick child in the back. It's gonna take us like an hour and a half, 2 hours to get there, and we might just like end up getting snowed in. Like this is not worth it. We're turning around, and my father being
It wasn't the smell of vomit in the car?
It might have also, that may have been a contributing factor. I haven't had this conversation with my mom in a while, or the reasons as to her request to go back, but that may have been a factor, yes. And my father just wanted to keep going. He was just like, no, like this is tradition. We're doing this. Like they expect us.
That's dad energy, though.
That's a National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation energy right there.
It certainly is. And I mean, like, probably another 20 or 30 minutes in, he finally relented. My mom called my grandma and said, like, this isn't happening. My grandma was sad, obviously, but she kind of understood because I was the favorite. And yeah, like we turned around, went back, and then immediately when we got back home, the weather cleared up and I felt better, and we had Christmas Eve at home. And my parents probably fought in the bedroom, and I wasn't aware of it. And that sprouted the seed. That may have sprouted the seeds for their divorce years later. I don't know.
That sounds like a bad beat for your parents.
Or it was the fact that he was a high functioning alcoholic who would lie all the time about it. So
maybe
that.
Well, DJ, that story was both bad beating and sad.
I told you it would be.
It was. Speaking of something that's very, very sad, I imagine Jason has something to say about this. How do you feel about Elf on a Shelf? You know the elf you put on the shelf and then you move it.
The memes are like average. They're not S tier, but they're not like horrible. They're fine.
I think it's dumb, but like I don't.
Do you have an Elf on the Shelf, Jason?
No, my mom wanted us to do it. I'm like, it's
okay. We also refused. Plus, it's creepy. It's not just weird; it's creepy, and that's the worst kind of weird.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Like
it's harnessing the energy of like the old Twilight Zone type trope where like the killer doll you burn it and then it's back on the shelf the next day.
I want to see one where it's like a Jeffrey Epstein.
It's slappy.
I want to see like a Jeffrey Epstein one.
Okay. Sell them, DJ. Manufacture and sell them. You be rich.
Are you guys in?
Oh, yeah, always.
All right. So
because Elf on the Shelf is for kids and Jeffrey Epstein was a pedophile. I get it.
I don't actually know who Elf on a Shelf is for. Do children like it? Do children like being creeped on? Do they like the idea of Big Brother? But only
so I try to make my daughter feel better by telling her that Santa Claus can see her when she's sleeping, and he knows when she's awake, but he can't see when she's awake. So that's why I have to report to Santa Claus about her comings and goings. I'm like, if you listen closer to the lyrics, he sees you when you're sleeping, and he knows when you're awake, because that's when you're invisible to him.
That's good lore. That's good Santa lore.
Hey, I'm just analyzing the texts, right?
Yeah,
so they're the people that are
modern day Moses. Yep.
Yeah, I'm a strict interpretationalist. Some people think, no, canonically Santa
can
obviously see you when you were awake. How would he know your deeds? How would he know to put you on the naughty or nice list? But I'm like, well, Santa. There's nothing in the scripture. Yeah. There's nothing in the scripture that suggests that Santa Claus can see children when they're awake. So I told her so she doesn't feel creeped out. I'm like, no, it's up to me to tell Santa. And when you don't eat your dinner, I make a note. I send him a text message.
You send him a text message?
Yeah. She almost got us because she wrote a letter to Santa and she illustrated it, but she didn't really tell me everything that was on there. So like she left out that she asked Santa Claus for a yo-yo because she put it in the letter that I pretended to mail.
Born in the 50s?
She wanted a she wanted a yo-yo.
It's because it spins like
she asked for a bracelet and cookie cutters last year from Santa, and then we bought her expensive toys. Because you're not supposed to say, Santa brought me a PS5, because all the poor kids are like, no. Santa didn't come to my house. And you're like, yeah, Santa Claus skips the poor kids' houses. That's how he can do everything in one night. So you're supposed to know your parents bought you a PS5. Santa Claus, he brought you a cookie cutters and a bracelet. But this year she asked for a skateboard and an Elsa from Frozen bed and a yo-yo. But she didn't tell me about the yo-yo. She just wrote it in the letter to Santa Claus. So today we're getting ready to leave tomorrow to go see. We're just going to her mother's and sister's house. So like it's fine to meet two people who are taking precautions. It's the
We understand. Go ahead.
40-person Christmas gatherings that are an issue. So we told them, it's like, she expects a yo-yo from Santa. So we don't have one. We don't have time to buy one. And Brittany's sister's on it. But like,
There you go.
my daughter is smart enough to be like, wait, I wrote in my letter to Santa Claus that I wanted a yo-yo.
Yep. That's
and
what
I
they
told
do.
you I wanted an Elsa bed and a skateboard, and you got me an Elsa bed and a skateboard. But you didn't get but I didn't get a yo-yo, which I told Santa about, but not you. And then she would have just looked at me suspiciously, and I would have been like, fuck. She's gonna figure out there's no Santa. Tell her brother. She's 4. So like I'm giving her credit as a mad genius. I respect her intelligence so much that I'm scrambling to get a yo-yo. That's how smart I think she might be.
There you go. Yeah, they do that though, because Ben, we let him circle and then go through like a Target advertisement and circle all the different things he wants or whatever, and say these are what we'll tell Santa you might get or blah 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 blah. Well, this kid remembers like a month later every single thing he ever circled in that magazine.
Mm-hmm.
And like 30 different things, and he's like, "Oh no, I circled that in our magazine. That's how I know we're
Is he
getting it for
is he
Christmas."
accurate? Is he correct?
Yes. Yes.
Oh yeah, they don't know anything.
They know,
Their little
man.
brains are empty, so they can remember
know what
everything.
they know. Yeah, like when they remember something, they do not let it go, and they're relentless, and they do not let you forget that you're wrong. And then Ben just follows me around and goes, "You were wrong."
Well,
You were right one time because you don't know anything. How about all the times today you were wrong?
They do.
Doesn't matter.
I was gonna say you could just like gaslight him.
Then he goes, "You're a stinker. You have poop in your pants."
That's
And
not.
I don't know what.
nice.
And I say to him, "No, you have poop in your pants." And I don't. Then I feel like I'm losing.
Do you
Yeah,
yell "got him"
exactly.
after that? Well, you're only losing if you didn't yell "got him."
No, I just feel like it's just I say that to him, and then I feel like I'm losing.
You are. If you can't come up with anything better than "no, you are." I have to explain to my daughter that I so very rarely have poop in my pants. Only a couple times a year do I shit myself. So actually, it's possible I shit myself more times this year than my 4-year-old. She's really growing up.
The fact
But
that
I'm
you don't know is more worrying than the fact
It's close. It's going to be a photo finish.
the fact that you don't know. Because it can't be like a basketball score, right? It's got to be more of like a soccer score.
Listen, there are 11 more days in the year for her to catch up. I'm just going to feed her bad food on New Year's. Did you give our daughter half an IPA? Oh, yeah, that'll give her the shits real bad. I put her under 4 blankets so she can't get out of her bed in time.
Santa said you have to eat all the beans in this bowl.
But you don't like cabbage and expired cough syrup? Yep. So sometimes you get poop in your pants. Sometimes you're a stinker with poopy pants, and
It happens.
and
Happens to
don't
the
tell your
best
kid
of
about
us.
it. I have to excuse myself from the room. I'm not letting my daughter know herself. I can't have her know. Oh, daddy's pants pooped themselves.
I haven't asked you all the most important question of all. How do you feel about Christmas spice latte or pumpkin spice latte or whatever the hell it is?
I don't drink coffee, so I have no opinion.
Yeah. I don't even like coffee as a concept. Like, who was the first person to be like, hey, what if we boiled them beans and just threw away the beans?
I
What if
also
we just
don't
drank the
coffee.
bean water. The
I
bean
also don't
water's
fully
the best part of
understand
the beans.
coffee.
I mean, if you like boil down every single food concept, like everything's pretty right. Like cheese. Who was the first one to gamble on cheese?
Yeah, fair.
Who was the first person to gamble on cottage cheese?
Somebody on a dare?
Like every berry ever is just like
Yeah.
Every berry we know is safe
definitely,
to eat is because one guy with a notepad watched another guy eat it and not die.
Yep. That is all true.
I like the smell of coffee, but I don't like the taste of coffee.
I went a long time not liking coffee. And I don't know if it really counts. Someone sold me on mochas, which are just hot chocolates. So I'm into that. I
think it's not just that I don't like coffee. It's that people that get Starbucks coffee don't like coffee. If you have to put whipped cream and sprinkles and chocolate and caramel and whipped goat's milk, guess what, motherfucker? You don't like coffee either, or you would like the taste of it. All you do is you put 9 sweet things in there to disguise it until it's basically a bad milkshake. You didn't make good coffee. You made a bad milkshake because you don't like coffee. At least I have the balls to admit it and save $8.
I do like mint hot chocolate though. That's my thing. Mint hot chocolate.
I honestly don't have a strong opinion because I've never tried any of this stuff, nor do I want to.
You know how much I hate hot drinks? A buddy of mine was like, "Oh, I got to piss so bad. I drank like 6 cups of coffee." And for a second, I was surprised that drinking coffee made you had to pee. So I was like, "Oh, I guess it's a drink." That's how much I don't even understand the concept of drinking a hot beverage. It's like, "Oh, that makes you have to pee? That's weird." Like, it was a dumb thought to be taken.
What about hot chocolate?
Like, what?
You don't
Coffee
like hot
makes
chocolate?
you pee, but at the same time, yeah, I don't like it. No, not hot chocolate. Any beverage that you can't drink at the temperature it's served to you just doesn't make sense to me. I like cold beverages. I like cold beverages a lot. I put a lot of ice in my ice water. Look at this.
I mean, I like
There's so much ice that the ice is not completely melted when all the water's gone. I like a lot of ice. I like cold beverages. Hot beverages don't make sense to me as a concept.
What if it's a hot beverage that's actually served at a drinkable temperature though?
What is?
What do you mean? Instead of the whole hot chocolate served that'll scald you and make you do a lawsuit thing, what if it's just a drinkable temperature hot chocolate that's just hot?
I don't like it.
Okay, I mean that's fine.
Free.
I'm not.
I don't like hot drinks.
That's fine.
But I like soup. I like soup. You think
this
I
is
wouldn't like soup?
It's a weird position you're staking out here, Jason.
I don't think
It's
that's
fine.
weird. No. I'm on his side here. I don't think that's
like
weird.
tea. Don't like tea. We fought.
I don't like tea either. No, I'm with you there. I don't like tea. I don't like
iced tea.
I guess you're right about that.
Iced tea's great, especially sweet iced tea. Get some peach flavoring in there, a little bit of sugar. Magnifique. So tea as a concept. See, maybe I liked iced coffee. Maybe I just don't like the hotness. I don't think beverages should be hot. They should be cold and refreshing.
Okay.
What do you get out of a hot beverage? It's not refreshing, so why would you drink it?
You get the, it's the caffeine, I believe.
It's warming. If it's cold out, it's warming.
Yeah.
I guess.
You hold your hands on the cup and it's just a nice little space heater that goes down into your insides.
Yeah, but it hurts my mouth. I don't like it. I burned my mouth on hot chocolate when I was 5, and I was like, well, fuck this forever.
Yeah, I mean that
is fair.
That does check out, honestly. With most
you made a powerful enemy today, hot beverages. I'll go on an influential podcast and tell everybody that hot beverages suck, and I'll change minds. And everyone's like, "What's a podcast?" I'm like, "I'm doing a evil villain soliloquy origin story right now, and you're gonna question what a podcast is in the year 1989?"
You're so old.
Yeah, well.
Are you did you do your house up fancy for Christmas with the kids, Jason? Is that something they appreciated? Yeah. Do you have National Lampoon style Christmas lights up and down your house?
Not the outside.
Oh, my dad did that for years. My father did.
Did you like it?
Years.
You like it or not like it?
It was okay.
I love Christmas lights.
Opinions on it, but my father did the whole National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation thing with our house for probably 7 or 8 years.
I get it's to big dick your neighbors.
It is he was and still is huge into the whole one upping. What's the word for it? There's
keeping up with the Joneses.
Yeah. He's very very into that.
I didn't do anything to the outside, and it's a lot of work, and I'll probably do it next year. I just didn't have the
I love
energy.
doing it. I mean, we don't do anything crazy fancy, but this year we did the cool thing where you put up a Grinch and you run your Christmas lights through it, and the Grinch is like running away with your Christmas lights. It's very cool. I don't know that it's about big dicking your neighbors always. So look, some people just associate coming home and seeing that sort of stuff as being like a really strong, if you have good memories when you were a kid of going and seeing Christmas lights with your family, you kind of associate that stuff with sort of the Christmas spirit.
There's a thing
whatever,
here
right?
called Lights on the Lake, where it's like a 2-mile drive down around the outside of the local lake, where like it's sponsored by like a few of the local businesses or whatever, and they just put up these like huge like displays that are creatively done, that they're like animated, like the lights turn on and off at certain points to make it look like it's animated. Cool. And it's just
I would
cool
pay to have someone put my lights up.
Well, you could do that actually, Jason. Turns out
I should have done that this year.
You still could.
Well,
it's 12/20 as we record this. 5 days to go till Christmas.
That's a good idea for next year. I just had that. What is more MTG finance than being a job creator? And there are kids
you sit in your basement and sell magic cards, and you pay somebody to put up your Christmas lights. Better yet, Jason.
I'm capable.
Wait, better yet, Jason. Find a Magic player who will put up Christmas lights in exchange for cards, and you can sell them at retail.
What is trading? What is the most interesting thing you guys have traded Magic cards for?
Dentistry.
That's up there.
Building my PC.
For me, it's mechanic work, like car repairs.
Also a good one. I've done a lot of I had somebody who mowed my yard for several years for Magic cards. Food.
Food
marijuana.
Is basic. Food is pretty basic.
One thing we do want to mention before the end of the year is a last pitch, if you want to put it that way, to talk about our Patreon. We want to say primarily thank you so much to everybody who has supported us over the years, and especially over this year in a time that has been enormously difficult for everybody, ourselves included. So we want to thank all of you. And for everyone who has contributed, who wants to, if you want to, you still can. Before the end of the year here, we have some very special perks that we're giving out to everybody who is subscribed at any level. You will get something if you're at a $1 level, and you'll get some more stuff if you're at a $10 level, $20 level, and so on. So it's just extra stuff we're sending out as a thank you to all of you. We've got a lot of stuff this year we think is really cool. So if you want any of this stuff we're about to go mention here, you have until the end of the year, even if you just want to get in at $1 at patreon.com/BSB to get some of that Discord access and be a part of it here going into 2021. I really appreciate it. We've got a lot of big stuff coming for you next year. So DJ, let's take it from the top, and let's not spend too long on this, but what is all the great stuff we do have for our patrons this year?
Yeah, so at the $1 level, we have a good old supercut, just nonstop stream of the best of Channel Fireball, stream of consciousness ad pitches. Like that is the most generous.
Yeah, this is going to be some
right?
From the Vault content soon. I like this.
It was such a powerful fireball, it destroyed our sponsorship. All right,
go on, DJ.
And then at the $5 and $10 levels, we have these really, really cool alternate proxy arts, talismans. For those of you who have been with us for a little while, you remember that we got to preview the cycle of enemy talismans for Modern Horizons. We have Dios Boss on Twitter. He made us some really, really cool artwork that is in each of these. At the $5 level, you will get one random one, but if you want to collect all 5, you can either trade with your friends, trade with some Discord members, or be at the $10 level, you will get one of every single talisman art. These are just like proxy magic cards. They're not real. They don't have magic backs, but you can play them in your Commander games with your friends. And then at the $20 level, we have custom Brainstorm Brewery dice from ChessX. They have our logo on them. They are very well made dice. They are brand name, top tier, and you will get a little package of those at the $20 level. These are in addition to the other perks that are normally going out at each of those tiers. So once again, thank you everyone who subscribes.
Really close to the camera. Look at that.
I did.
Thank you everyone who subscribes to our Patreon at patreon.com/BSB. Really means a lot to us. I know every content creator kind of says that, but it does.
Well, it does. And it sounds, we're repeating what everyone says, but the reality is it is what makes it possible. It is the reason that we can do this. So you can never say it enough, right?
Yep. We hire people to do art for us. We hire an editor. Our expenses just pile up because we want the cast to be better and
because we want to support the community, right? Like we want to take the support for us.
With your generosity funded all that is the point we're making.
We've got some really cool emotes and Twitch graphics and stuff like that coming out at the start of the new year too. So that's really exciting.
All right, well let's move on.
And if you're not interested in just giving us money and you wanted to get something you were going to get anyway, consider going to the original Magic Art website and buying something there and using the promo code BrewCrew to save some money and support this cast. And like and thumbs up this video.
And don't worry about it not arriving in time for the holidays, because it wouldn't have arrived in time for the holidays even if you bought it in like September. So I mean, you can just sort of accept that fact and have that open conversation with your gift recipients and just be like, yeah, I bought this in April.
That bastard DeJoy, he ruined it. My friend's dad was taking Christmas lights down. He fell off the ladder, just landed on his dome and just fell 3 feet and died in his driveway taking down Christmas lights. And I'm like, fuck that.
Wait, you're serious?
What?
Yeah. He just landed wrong. It just hit his head and he just fucking died. Yeah. This was like 5 years ago, 6 years ago, something like that. Yeah. So it's anytime you're up on a ladder, it's very dangerous. And I feel like Christmas lights are sort of a dumb way to die. It's a little frivolous.
Oh, for
It
sure.
is a silly way to go.
It's a Jerry way to die for sure.
Yeah.
However, you go out spreading Christmas cheer.
Yeah, but then you're like the protagonist of a Tim Allen movie, and you don't want that.
Well, you would be the antagonist of that movie, not the
Whatever.
protagonist. But
The antagonist was
Neil,
who's Neil?
the mean stepdad.
How recently did you see this movie?
10 years.
I remember the antagonist of Santa Claus 2 was the evil robot Santa Claus they made with a toy making machine. And
I
they
have
had to
no
come
idea.
back and fight him. And then the third one was Jack Frost, played by Martin
remember
Short.
that
But I
one,
don't
yeah.
remember anything about the first Santa Claus. Other than that, like, it's a dumb pun. And that dumb pun made everybody spell Santa Claus with an E. And I'm like, no, Santa Claus, it's Klaus. There's no E in Claus. The Claus is it's like Legally Blonde. It's a dumb legal pun movie name, but people spell Santa Claus with an E now, and it drives me nuts. So like that movie gave us another Tim Allen movie, which like he's only been in 1 or 2 acceptable movies ever, Galaxy Quest and Big Trouble. He's just a cocaine smuggler, right? Like that guy, and he gave us a dumb pun, and now everyone spells Santa Claus wrong, and then I say something and people call me pedantic. And they spell that with an E at the end also, just to mess with me. I don't care for the Santa Claus movies. I don't care for any.
The first one, Jason, is about him spiraling, Tim Allen spiraling, and the cops being called as he does weird stuff, and then eventually he abducts this kid to go to the North Pole, and then the cops are after him for kidnapping because Neil called them, and then the elf squad has to bust him out of jail.
Why didn't he just rat like he did when he got caught with all that cocaine in Michigan? He got caught in Kalamazoo, actually. So, like, his mugshot says Kalamazoo on it. And, like, we briefly considered getting T-shirts with his mugshot on them for all the Kalamazoo comics one year at Christmas.
That would have been pretty funny.
It's a great bit. You get caught with a bunch of cocaine, but you don't do a ton of time for it. That's pretty funny. What could be funnier than that?
And we've come full circle to the prison.
Like,
That's right.
Instead of getting murdered for being a rat as soon as he got out or being killed inside prison, he just gets to come out and be famous. Like,
Well, that's because he was famous when he was in prison, right?
Snitches don't get Stitches. Snitches get sitcoms.
That's what
I watched so much Home Improvement.
That is the real
growing
spirit of Christmas right there.
Like that was my parents, like one of their
Consumerism.
big shows was Home Improvement growing up. I saw so many episodes of that instead of
Yeah, that show was not my favorite.
Well,
but that does tell you what Christmas is all
perpetuated
about.
a lot of stereotypes about toxic masculinity. I feel like there weren't.
Well, he doubled
many
down on it
shows-
too, right? Like
Yeah.
he had another
he's-
show immediate, like
Last Man Standing or whatever.
Yes, yeah.
It's like the libs try to cancel this show, and I'm like, who's being like, oh, cars are good and libs are bad in 2019? Like, who's still doing?
Well, they
that?
canceled. They did say if they do anything with Toy Story again, he will be replaced.
Wow.
Tom Hanks is not being replaced.
Yeah,
But he is.
he almost was because he
So
got
he
coronavirus.
did get canceled.
God fucked him, Alan.
Well, there you go. There's your message to take away for Christmas, everybody. Well, thank you for listening to this. It's a little bit of a taste of what you get in the after hours. If you didn't like this episode, we'll be back to normal magic next week. But if you did enjoy this, I hope, however any of you are choosing to spend your holidays, whether that's with your loved ones or without your loved ones, I hope that you have the best time you possibly can. Thank you so much for listening. Goodbye to 2020 here from Brainstorm Brewery. Looking forward to 2021 with all of you.